All right, everyone, it is 4:45, so we're going to go ahead and get started. So welcome. Today we're going to be talking about guerrilla marketing. This kicks off our guerrilla marketing module, which is going to be the most in-depth module that we've really had so far, as this is a really critical business function. If you don't have customers, you don't have a business. So super important module that we're going to be covering for the next 2 months here. So what do you think the purpose of marketing is? If you want to go ahead and drop in the chat, what do you think the purpose of marketing is? Why do we even do marketing? Brand awareness, Lily, yes, good. What else? What do you think the purpose of marketing is? Attract consumers, make people aware that your product and services are for sale. Very good. To sell more product, sharing your value with the world, getting interest and feedback from consumers. Yes, these are all really good. So the purpose of marketing is to get qualified prospects in front of you to have a conversation. So sales is where we're actually having the conversation with someone face to face or over the phone. And marketing is what we do to get them to that sales conversation. And notice how underlined and bolded we say qualified prospects. We want to get the right people in front of us. We don't want just anyone to have a conversation with anyone, because that could be wasting our time and theirs. We want to get the right qualified prospects in front of us. So what are qualified prospects? Qualified prospects are people who genuinely have an interest in your product and are likely to buy. And notice likely is bolded and underlined. These are people who are very close to making that decision, who have a need or an interest, the ability to purchase. Either they're a decision maker with the financial resources, or they're also a good fit with your target audience. They're not just some random person. They're going to fit into the community that you are building around your product. And they also have a readiness to take action. And this means that, let's say that you're selling home insurance, right? And you are doing marketing campaigns for people that are renting houses and nowhere near even thinking about buying a house. You don't want to be wasting your time getting into sales conversations with them because they're not ready to buy yet. They're probably not going to have that need or interest. And this is especially important to talk about for guerrilla marketing campaigns, because unlike bigger organizations, we don't have a huge marketing budget to spend. So we've got to be really creative and strategic with where we put our resources and time. So that's why we want to make sure that we're only getting qualified prospects to the conversation, and we're filtering out the people who aren't going to be ready to buy yet. We're not really interested in creating top of mind brand awareness, because we don't have the budget for that yet. So we want people who are immediately ready to take that action and to buy with us, not someone who maybe a couple years from now. So how do you get the right qualified prospects to the conversation? That's what we're going to be talking about today, how to get more of your right fit prospects to the sales conversation. And in 3 weeks, when we kick off the sales module, we'll be talking about what you do once you get them to that conversation. But for today, we're just focused on how do we even get them to the table, those people we want to be talking to. And how do we get them to the table without spending a ton of money on those campaigns? It's going to take a lot of creativity and out of the box thinking, because we don't have a big budget, especially as a startup. And that's what we call guerrilla marketing, thinking outside of the box and marketing on a very low budget. And so the focus here is on how to get people talking about your brand and how to get people engaged with your brand organically and more through word of mouth type strategies where you don't have to spend a lot of money. So there's many ways to do this, and there's no perfect marketing strategy. You're always going to be testing, getting feedback, improving, and it's really going to depend. The best way, the best marketing strategy for your business is really going to depend on your target audience, on your target market. And I will give a disclaimer here. We're going to go very high level today through marketing strategies to start giving you ideas of what you might do and how you might apply that to your specific business idea and how to get people coming to your business. But they're going to be very high level strategies because we just can't go realistically into depth that it would take. So I really encourage you all in this module especially to sign up for coaching, one-on-one coaching or team coaching, because I can give you more specific, detailed ideas for your business that are going to be tailored to your unique audience and your business model. So I really encourage you to sign up for some coaching there. That's really where you're going to get a lot of value, and we can really build out the strategy that's going to work best for you. But today, what we're going to do is by the end of today, you're going to know how to get your ideal customer avatar to the sales conversation. You're going to define who is your ideal customer avatar. And you're going to walk away with strategies on how to build a strong brand so that you're organically attracting your ICA, your ideal customer avatar. So you're not having to really go out there and push really hard, but you're bringing them to you. And as a result, the goal is that you'll leave here today feeling even more prepared to build traction within your specific niche market. So here's how we're going to get there. First thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about how do you find your ideal market and how do you create messaging that really draws them in. So more of a pull approach than a push approach. We want people coming to us because that's going to save a lot of time and money if we just have people coming to us. We're going to do a mastermind breakout session. You'll be with a partner to workshop some ideas around that based on what you learn. And then we're going to talk about how to design a strong brand identity. We'll do a breakout session there that you can workshop your ideas. And then we're going to talk about specific guerrilla campaign strategies that you could consider using and tailoring them to your business. And at the end, we'll do a little debrief where you can talk about some of your takeaways and create an action plan for what you would like to implement. And notice too, I don't know how many of you have looked ahead yet to the assignments for this module, but there's 3 assignments, and everything you're going to be learning today is going to prepare you and set you up for those assignments. We'll be doing a little bit of work in the breakout sessions, so you'll already be getting a head start on those 3 assignments. So make sure you're paying attention to get that head start. All right, so first we need to talk about who is not your customer, who is not your ideal customer. So I want you to imagine that you've just launched a premium co-working space. That is your business, a space where creative professionals like freelancers, designers, entrepreneurs, they come and they co-work. And in order to attract members to your co-working space to sign up, you offer various amenities like workshops, networking events, creative resources that are tailored specifically for this audience of freelancers and creative professionals. And at first, you find yourself thinking, the more members that sign up, the better. So you start accepting anyone who shows interest, thinking this will help you to grow more quickly. You begin to sign up a few people, and then these people that you start signing up, they just don't quite fit your target profile. Some are looking for the cheapest office space they could possibly rent. Other people just don't care about the creative energy or the collaborative culture that you're trying and working so hard to build. And over time, the space starts to feel very different. The new members, they're not only interested in getting cheap rent, they're also not really contributing to that creative, collaborative feel of the community. And their attitude starts to affect the original members. And suddenly the energy of the whole space has changed, and you start losing some of those original core members you have. And the point of telling the story to you is that when you try to serve everyone, you'll lose the essence of what made your business special in the first place. If we're serving everyone, we're serving no one. We don't want to go broad. We want to go narrow and specific to the ideal type of person that we are best equipped to serve. You can't help everyone, nor do you want to. And one of the common challenges a lot of entrepreneurs, when they're starting out, a lot of founders face and starting their business, is in those early days, it's easy to just accept anyone who's willing to give you that money, anyone with a heartbeat. And that's a strong temptation there because you haven't really yet established your business. But be cautious about who you let into your community, into your world, because it not only affects the other customers that you're trying to serve, it'll also weigh on you. If you're not working with your ideal client and they're causing you a lot of pain, that's really going to weigh on you. It's not going to energize you. You want to work with people who are going to be fun to work with, who you're going to enjoy serving. And a really good book recommendation here on this is Story Brand by Donald Miller. He talks a lot about how to weed out the people that aren't your ideal audience and how to attract the people who are your ideal customer. So who is your ideal customer? Who are those perfect fit, ideal fit customers that you want to be attracting to your business? Because you want to be selective about who you let in. So a way that you can start to think through who is your ideal customer is by creating what we call your ICA, your ideal customer avatar. So thinking through the qualities of the type of person that you would really enjoy working with. And keep in mind, you're almost interviewing them as much as they're interviewing you. You don't have to work with everyone. You want to work with people you want to work with and you're best equipped to work with. So consider this an interview and you have your requirements. So I'm going to briefly go through 6 categories of questions that you could be asking and thinking about to help you define who is your ideal customer avatar. And I'm going to go through these really quickly because in a moment here, I'm going to put you in breakout groups and you're going to go through these questions with each other in a partner pair to help you start thinking through who do you really want to serve in detail and not just at a high level, but going really, really narrow. Who is it that's really your ideal customer? So the first thing we want to be thinking about is demographic pre-qualifiers. Because again, remember, we want to pre-qualify the people that we're bringing to our sales conversation. Let's say that your business is targeting young college students. You don't want coming to the sales conversation a 50-year-old man. That's not going to fit what you are looking for, nor what he's looking for. So you want to make sure you're bringing to the table these people who are pre-qualified. So you start with demographic type questions, which is like age, gender, where do they live, do they have kids, what kind of money are they making, very basic demographic information. And I'm going to go through this fast because, again, you'll have that list of questions in a second with each other. Second thing to pre-qualify them on is the psychographic qualities. And these, you can think of these as being their values and what's important to them in life. What are their aspirations? Where do they want to go? Because if where they want to go is completely different from the vision and of your business and where you take people, not going to be a good fit. So you want to be thinking about who are the kinds of people, where do they want to go? What are their dreams, their hopes, their personality? What are they passionate about? And how does that align with your business? Third thing to pre-qualify them on is their buying habits. What kind of consumers are you looking for? Are you looking for people who maybe purchase with you once a year, once a week, once a month, once every 5 years? How frequently are they buying from you? You need to be thinking about their buying behavior and if they'll fit your business model. Because if your business model is a subscription base, 12 months a year, once a month, but this person is only going to buy every couple years, probably not going to be a good fit. So you want to make sure their buying behavior is going to match your business model and what you're looking for in a customer, in a client. Fourth thing to think about is overall fit and compatibility. And this is more personality. How are they to work with? Are they open to feedback and collaboration? How well do they align with the values of your business? How easy are they to work with? Do they complain a lot? What kind of mindset do they have? How do they handle things when things don't go well? Are they going to be that customer that's screaming and crying? And maybe you don't want to work with those types of people. So thinking through what kind of personality traits do they have, and would that be a good fit with your business? Then another important one, the financial pre-qualifier, because they could be amazing and have all the qualities aligned that we just talked about, demographics, psychographics, all of those. But if they don't have the financial resources and means to purchase what you have to offer, then they're not going to purchase. So you have to make sure that they're in a financial place and a financial fit as well. And then the last one, to think about how they'll fit in with the community that you're trying to build, because your business does have a reputation and a community element to it. Because what is this kind of person going to be saying on social media? How might they interact with other customers on social media or other platforms like Reddit? What are they going to be saying? What kind of energy will they bring to the community? Because if your whole community is on, let's say, self-improvement and growth and opportunity, and an Eeyore comes in to the community, that's just going to bring down the energy and not really be a good fit for what you're trying to build. So again, big takeaway here is if we serve everyone, we're serving no one. We want to be selective, and we want to pre-qualify the people that we're ultimately going to be bringing to those sales conversations. So that's how we go through and think about our ideal customer avatar. Who is it that you really want to be attracting to your business? So we're going to do a breakout exercise here now. And what you're going to do is you're going to be in pairs, partner pairs. And I want you to think through who is your ideal customer avatar. And I want you to get really specific and detailed here. What is their age? How old are they? How much money are they making? What are some of their qualities, their characteristics, their interests, their hobbies? How much money are they making? How much financial resources do they have? And you're going to have all those questions to help you go through and think about that. But I want you to get really detailed. And again, this will help you for your assignment number 1 to start thinking through who is your target segment and audience that you want to be serving. So we're going to take 10 minutes here total, and you'll do 5 minutes each and then switch. And I know you probably won't get through all the questions. You can do those later on your own time. This is just to get you to start thinking. So I'm going to put those questions, a link to those questions in the chat so you can just reference them as you go through. All right, so once you've figured out who is your ideal customer avatar, who is it that you are really wanting to focus on serving, how do you attract that ideal customer? How do you get them to come to you so that you're not chasing them down and having to spend a lot of money going out and finding those people? How do you get them coming to you? How do you get those leads engaging with you, reaching out to you? You're about to learn a messaging framework that you can use that's going to draw people to you so that they feel like you're speaking directly to them. And as you're learning this, I want you to be thinking about what content is going to inspire your audience, shift their perspective, or showcase a solution that's going to help them. Because the thing with guerrilla marketing is that we want to be providing so much value with our content that we're putting out that it becomes a lead magnet, that people are seeking us out. We're pulling people to us. So to do that, you've got to be creating content and messaging that is perceived as being very valuable and relevant to your ideal customer avatar. And we do this through what's called symptom messaging. And so what is symptom messaging? Symptom messaging is just showing that your audience that you understand them. You get them. You get how they talk about the problems that they're facing, and you do it in a way that is very tangible. So for example, if you're talking to your audience who is really overwhelmed and stressed out and they have a lot of things to do, instead of saying, are you overwhelmed by deadlines and never-ending tasks? Because who talks like that? Your audience is not talking about it in those language. But what would relate to them and make them feel seen, heard, and understood by you is, what if you say, you're staring at your to-do list, wondering how you'll ever finish everything by the end of the week. You've already missed 2 social events, and now you're starting to feel like no matter how hard you work, you're always behind. That's a lot more tangible. There's a lot more emotion to that. They can feel it and see themselves in that and hear themselves saying that. That's how they talk about their problems. So with symptom messaging, we want to talk about the problem like our ideal customer avatar talks about the problem. So what you'll be doing in assignment 1 is you'll be doing research and interviews with your ideal customer avatar, that person you want to serve, who's your ideal customer, to figure out how they talk about their problem, so that you can use their exact words that they hand you on a golden platter. We don't want to change those words that they give us. We want to use those right back to them. So if your ideal customer avatar talks about their problem, let's say with time management, as, oh, I just wish that I could spend more time with my friends. I never see them. I just feel like I'm never getting enough sleep. That's the language we want to use. We want to use the exact words that they use in a tangible way that really paints a specific picture for them. And we want to avoid using broad, vague terms that are very abstract and hard to relate to, because no one talks about their problems that way. So as you're crafting your symptom messaging, you should be asking yourself, how does your audience feel? What are they experiencing? What are they really looking for? And really dig deep here, because oftentimes it's deeper under the surface what it is that they're really looking for. If they say, I just want more balance or better time management in their life, well, maybe what they're actually wanting is more time with their friends, or more time to sleep, more time for their health, because they want to feel better. So really digging into what is it that they're actually looking for. And then how do they describe their problems to others? So these are the questions you want to be asking to help you craft your symptom messaging. So for example, let's use the example of, let's say your business helps entrepreneurs who are struggling to find financial freedom. No one talks about it like, I want financial freedom. That's not what entrepreneurs are going around and saying. But if you said it like this, imagine it's the end of the month, and after paying your bills, there's barely anything left to reinvest in your business. You've skipped dinners with friends and passed up opportunities, all while wondering how your hard work will pay off. That's how they're talking about their problem. That's something that they can relate to. Or for example, let's say you have a business and you help women who are experiencing bloating. Instead of using technical language of saying, I help optimize your digestive system, because no one relates to that, you could say, I help you to feel better, to have your stomach feel better so that you feel better when you put on that dress and you walk out of lunch at the office. Like, that's how people are talking about it. So you want to speak their language. So in this exercise you're going to do now in a breakout, you're going to help each other to identify one significant pain point of your ideal customer avatar. What is something they're really struggling with around this problem that your business is solving? What pain is it causing them having this problem? And I want you to describe it in tangible terms that would show your audience you really get them. You really understand how they're talking about this challenge, how it affects them emotionally, physically, socially. You want to show them you understand. And another example here to get you thinking as you're going off into those breakouts, this applies to all of you. Let's say the pain point is time management, because how many of you are struggling with time management, having so much to do? Well, instead of saying, oh, are you having a hard time balancing school and social life? Say like this. It's 2 a.m. and you're trying to finish an essay that's due in a few hours, but you can't stop thinking about the homework that you haven't yet started for another class. Your phone keeps buzzing with notifications from your friends making weekend plans, and you feel pulled in 100 different directions. You're tired, but the stress of falling behind, that keeps you awake, and you're wondering if you'll ever catch up. A lot more tangible, a lot more relatable. So we'll take 8 minutes here, and I'm going to put you into breakout rooms again with a new partner, and I want you to help each other identify one pain point that your ideal customer avatar has, and then craft some kind of symptom messaging around that to speak to that problem in terms that they would understand, that make them feel seen, heard, and understood by you. Does anyone have any questions before I send you off into breakout rooms? Okay, no questions. Awesome. If you have any questions, just come back in here and I'm happy to help you. And the more work that you put into this, if you can get to 2, the more it's going to help you with already getting started on your assignment number 1. So I'm going to send you off now, and feel free to come back if you have any questions. All right, so you've talked about who is your ideal customer avatar, and now you've developed some symptom messaging to attract your ideal customer avatar. Now, continuing on the theme of setting ourselves up to attract people to our brand organically, so we're not having to spend a lot of money, we've got to build a strong brand identity. We've got to build a brand that gets people talking, one that people want to be a part of, one that evokes a lot of emotion for people. Think of those brands that you've engaged with, those brands that maybe you have so much love for, and you feel so drawn, so much loyalty to the brand. That's the kind of brand we want to create for our guerrilla marketing campaigns to work and to succeed. So how do we do that? We're going to talk about 2 things here. We're going to talk about how to build a strong logo, and then we're going to talk about how to build a strong brand voice. And both of these you'll be doing in assignment 2 with a couple other deliverables, but we're going to focus on logo and brand voice for this masterclass. And we're going to go, again, very high level. So if you want to go deeper with all of this, schedule some time on my calendar, and I'm happy to meet with you individually. So first, we're going to go through what are the different types of logos so that you can start thinking about what you might like to create for your business. So the first one we have is what's called the word mark. And this is just using a distinctive and unique typeface, spelling out the name of the brand. And it's ideal to use a word mark for companies who have memorable or distinct names and they want to emphasize their brand identity through a clean and straightforward logo. So it's really relying on the typography here, and it's often stylized fonts. So if you're thinking about what you're going to name your business and you have a really unique name like Google or Disney, you might consider doing a word mark and having that be your logo. Second one is what we call letter form. And this is just a unique combination of letters that are usually the company's initials that are stylized and arranged in some creative way. And it's often a way to simplify the full brand name. So this is great for businesses who maybe have longer names and they want to create a more simple and minimalistic logo that still remains recognizable. So you'll recognize some of the companies on there like H&M or Louis Vuitton with those longer names. Third type of logo you can use is a pictorial mark. And a pictorial mark it uses a recognizable object or image that's stylized or simplified, and it represents the brand directly. It's a literal image, such as an apple or a bird. And people can instantly recognize this. So for example, Target, literally a picture of a Target, or Shell, gas station, picture of a Shell, or Apple with the apple. So this is best to use if your company wants your brand to be represented by a symbol or image that people can easily associate with your product or industry. The next type of logo you could use is an abstract logo design. And this uses shapes, patterns, or forms that don't necessarily represent a recognizable object like a picture. And instead of directly showing what the company does, it creates a unique shape that's distinctive and symbolic. So like the Nike swoosh, or Pepsi, or Adidas, or Toyota, or the Olympic rings. It's abstract. And this is ideal to use for companies that want to create a creative and distinct logo without necessarily tying themselves to a specific image. And this allows for flexibility in your brand identity. The next type of logo is an emblem. An emblem, you could use this, which is where you combine text and a pictorial element into a unified design. And the company name is often enclosed within the shape, such as on a badge or a crest or a seal, and it has a more traditional or formal look to it. So this is ideal to use if you want your brand to have more of that classical or institutional look. Often we see it in schools or government organizations or brands that have a long history and tradition to them. And then the last type of logo you could use is a mascot, which is just where we feature a character or illustrated figure that represents the brand in more of a fun, silly, friendly, relatable way. And then the mascot becomes the spokesperson for the brand. So this is great to use for companies that want to create a playful, engaging, memorable brand experience and build an emotional connection with the audience. So those are some of the types of brand logos that you could use to in your business that you're building. So now how do we actually design a logo? Sometimes that's the hardest part, is coming up with an actual logo. How are we going to create that? So this is an exercise that can help you as you're thinking through and coming up with your logo. So what you'll do here is you'll just draw a simple little grid, and it'll be 3 by 3. And on the top, you're going to have visual metaphors. Oops, went too fast. Visual metaphors. So this is, think of pictures or images that describe your brand, or words, visual words that describe your brand if you're going to go for more of a word marked type logo. Visual words that describe your brand. So for example, maybe the sunshine, maybe your brand is like sunshine, or maybe your brand is like growth. It's like a tree growing. So visual words that represent who your business is, what you do, and how you help. And then on the left-hand side, you'll use your brand attributes. Now, these are more emotional personality descriptors, like trustworthy, friendly, dependable, words that you would use to describe how people perceive your brand. And then what you're going to do is in the top row, and then the left column, in that box, you will take that word. So let's say your top word here on the brand attributes was trustworthy, and your visual metaphor was sunshine. That would inspire a logo that combines sunshine and the feeling of trustworthy. And then let's say underneath trustworthy, you had friendly. Then you would create a logo that takes that element of friendliness and sunshine, and you would do that the whole way through your grid. And it's a way to challenge you to think outside of the box. And you're just sketching these logos. You could do this on a piece of paper in front of you. Sketch these logos. It doesn't have to be perfect, because then after you sketch your logo, you can upload it into more of a professional type of software like Photoshop or Adobe Illustrator or even Canva if you want to keep it simple, and use that sketch to inspire more of that professional logo. So an example to show you kind of what this looks like. So I actually just, for one of the businesses I'm working on right now, is a mold remediation company. And we just went through and did the logo design for this mold remediation business. And so applying this concept to, as an example, we thought about what are some of those visual metaphors that we could use for the business. And so for this mold remediation company, we thought of sunshine, giving hope because you're getting rid of the mold in people's houses. We thought of just a clean home, an image of that, an eraser, just erasing the mold. And then the words we used to describe the company that we wanted people to perceive the company as were trustworthy, caring, environmentally friendly. And we sketched out different logos combining those different words. So just an example there to get you thinking. So really great exercise if you're struggling on how to come up with a logo. And there's lots of other ways out there too to come up with logos. So this was just one of many. And I'm happy to help any of you if you want some help with Photoshop or Adobe Illustrator and you're struggling there. Reach out and I can help you as you're designing your logo. All right, so we just talked about logo. Let's talk about brand voice now and the tone that your brand is going to take. So I want you to think of your brand as a person. We want to humanize your brand. So if your brand was a person, I want you to think from their point of view and answer these questions. Who am I? Why do I exist? Who is your brand and why does it exist? What is its purpose to serve? So humanizing it, because that's going to help as we give a voice and create what your brand sounds like. How would your brand speak if it were a person? So to help you think through your voice, we want to start with our mission and vision and values first, because that's going to help to inform the brand voice. You've seen this before, I'm sure, how to do a mission statement, so I'm not going to spend a long time here. So you want to spend some time writing out what it is that your company does, clarifying the who and the why of the company, because this is going to be a roadmap to help you create and establish that voice. Then you're going to write your vision statement. Again, not going to spend a lot of time here because you already know how to do this. But this is your brand promise. And this is really that emotional, aspirational aspect of your brand. So why it's important to write your vision out before you go into your brand voice is because this is where your brand company is aiming to go in the long term. Where are you aspiring to be? And so there's very much an emotional component to that, which is going to shape the personality and the emotional component of who your brand is and how it shows up in the world. And then you're going to want to list out your values. You've already done this in your principled ideation, thinking through what are those principles that you want your company to uphold as it grows, and those set of beliefs that are going to govern you. And those values, mission, and vision will shape your voice. How would people describe your brand if it was a person? What is its personality? What does it sound like? Maybe, is it daring? Is it empathetic? Is it straightforward? Is it funny? What are those personality traits that you want your brand voice to take on? So an exercise to help you here and to stretch you here is to think about, to fill in this statement. And this is an exercise I actually learned from Dr. Gray. So if you are thinking about, if any of you marketing majors are thinking about taking Dr. Gray's class, super helpful she goes in depth for how to do designing a brand identity. So this is an exercise I learned from her. And what you can do here is fill in the blanks. We are blank, but we're not blank. We're innovative, but we're not unrealistic. Or we're funny, but we're not impractical. or we're empathetic, but we're not pushovers. So thinking through your brand's personality and voice and how it shows up. And then you can do this chart, also learn this from Dr. Gray, and you do this voice chart, which is where you write the trait down of your personality of your brand, and then give a little description for what that means for that personality trait, and then what your brand does, how it shows up in the world based on that personality trait, and then what it doesn't do. And so think through as you're writing emails to potential customers, or what do you want your social media posts to sound like? What do you want any flyers you're creating or any videos that you're going to be creating? What do you want that voice to sound like? What do you want it to not sound like? What do you want to avoid doing? So we're going to do a breakout exercise now based on that to help you already get ahead on assignment 2. And so what you're going to do and help each other in the breakout rooms is to go through and do the logo chart exercise, where you'll think through what are some of those visual images to describe your solution, your brand. What are some of those brand attributes of how you want people to perceive your brand? And then you probably won't have time to get to actually sketching out, but just challenge yourself to come up with those words and create that grid that then later on your own time you could sketch out some logos. And then for your brand voice chart, to use that statement, we are blank, but we're not blank. And then start filling out that brand voice chart. So I know that's a lot of information I just threw out at you. So just want to check in. Does anyone have any questions before we go off into breakout rooms? All right, I don't see any hands. If you do have any questions, just feel free to come back into the main room and I will help you. All right, we will finish up the last part that we have for today, which is to give you some ideas for some guerrilla marketing strategies that you could try out and take this and adapt them to your business. So again, these are going to be very high level, and you'll have to tailor them to what you're specifically doing. But this could get you started in thinking creatively and thinking outside of the box, because the goal here is to think about what can you do that no one else is doing in your market space. What are your competitors not doing who maybe have bigger budgets? How can you get people's attention and capture it? And that's going to take strategies that aren't what you would normally see for marketing. So the first suggestion of what you could try out is the podcast strategy. So a lot of people start podcasts to gain a lot of followers, and their goal is to make revenue really off of the podcast. But you can use your podcast as a marketing strategy in a few different ways that you can do this. So you could use it first to get referral partners. So these are going to be people who maybe interact with your ICA, your ideal customer avatar. Who are those people that have some kind of interaction with your ideal customers? And how can they refer your ideal customers to you? You want to build those relationships, because referral partnerships are the #1 marketing strategy. There is no cost to word of mouth. I mean, there's a little bit of cost. Obviously, you have to build that relationship with them, but you're not having to spend money on pay-per-click or billboards or whatever it is. It's the most organic way and the most organic strategy to attract your ideal customer to you, is to form those relationships with referral partners. So one way that you can go about building relationships with referral partners is to invite them onto your podcast. So if you start a podcast, and it can be so simple, it does not have to be super fancy equipment. It could literally just be a Zoom call that you record and you post to YouTube or something like that. It can be super simple. But when you say, I have a podcast and it covers this within the industry, and we talk about these challenges, when you ask people and invite them on to share their opinion, Most people are going to say, I would love to be on your podcast, because people want to share their opinion. It's good for them. It's good visibility for them. And it's a way to organically build a relationship with someone. So if you, if there's someone that you know would be a really good referral partner to send ideal customers your way, and you're not sure how to reach out to them or build that relationship, send them a message and say, hey, I have this podcast. Would you be interested in being on it? It can be as simple as that. And you'd be amazed by the relationships you can build that way. So that's one way you could use a podcast. Another way you could use a podcast as a guerrilla marketing strategy is as a showcase of your solution, a way to demonstrate your solution. And this isn't going to work for every business, but think of it as a way to show people, instead of telling people what you do, show them how your solution works. So if you have a coaching business, maybe you do live coaching with a live audience, and you record that and you post that video as your podcast episode. Then you're indirectly selling, and you're creating that brand awareness of what it is you do, and people can see that. And that's not going to cost you any money. As long as you have the permission of the other person, you can post that video footage, and that's a really low cost way to get yourself out there. And now if you have an actual product, maybe you do something, you get creative here and you create some video footage, you go out into the community, and if you've ever seen some of those TikToks or those reels where some of those influencers will bring a product to someone to have them try it out in real time, you could film some content like that, showing people trying your product and getting their reaction. That's a really great way to create some podcast episodes there. You can also do educational podcasts where you're talking about the problem within the industry related to your business, related to the challenge that you're solving. Because what this does is it positions you as an authority figure. It shows that you have credibility. And that's going to help your potential audience to trust you, that you know what you're doing, you know what you're talking about. So establishing yourself as an expert authority figure within the industry is really going to set you apart from the competition. And then also, what you're doing by building a podcast is you're just planting a seed. You're planting a seed. When people happen upon some of your episodes on YouTube or on Spotify, it's a great way to get your name out there. And again, you don't have to spend a lot of money on super expensive equipment. It can be so simple with your phone, with your laptop, which you already have. So a really great strategy there. Another great strategy, because again, we want to get creative and leave people with things that they don't normally get, is to use unique business cards. So what I mean by that, I'm going to show you an example. Actually, this business card was given to me by another entrepreneur I met, and he's actually going to be our guest speaker in October for the communication model. His name's Joel Weldon, and this is his business card. You can see it's a can. Very unique, right? I'm sure you've probably never gotten someone hand you a can before, but this is his business card. And it's so unique. And
you can't see it.
Oh, you can't see it. Okay. Let me stop sharing my screen. Can you see me now if I pin myself? All right. Can everyone see this? Yeah, awesome. Thank you. So this is Joel Weldon's business card, and it's a can. And it has his name on it, and it has a message, and it says, success comes in cans, not in cannots. Now, is this something I'm going to throw away? No. And you know what? I've had it sitting on my desk for over a year now, and I look at it every time I sit down to work at my desk. I've never thrown it away. So get creative. Think of what business card could be unique to you. What is something that people are never going to throw away? What is something that people might put on their desk and other people will see and ask questions about? Because this generates a conversation. When people see it sitting on my desk, they say, what is that? And then I tell them, oh, I'm this speaker, this entrepreneur, and that's free marketing for him. He's not paying you to talk about it. So get creative and come up with a unique business card, little gift or token that you could give that represents your brand. Another thing you can do is to write a short book. This was an idea I learned a little over a year ago, and I've seen it done, and it works. If you write a short mini book, it could just be 10,000 words, it could literally be less than 50 pages. A simple book related to your business or to the problem that you're solving in the industry. And it could be your top 10 things to know when you have this problem. What this does is it positions you as a credible expert within the field, within your industry, and no one's going to throw away a book. Again, it's kind of similar to the unique business card. If you give someone a book that you've written, they're going to add it to their library. They're not going to throw it away. They'll probably throw your business card away, but they're not going to throw a book away. And so this is just another really creative way to promote what your business is and position yourself as a credible expert that people can trust. So if you have the time and you love writing, you could make a short book. And it's really cheap to publish on your own, and print a few copies of those that you just hand out and give as gifts to people that they can share. Another idea is to create consumer guides. And consumer guides you could have them be digital, pamphlets, physical printouts that you give to people within your industry, your ideal customer avatar who are experiencing the problem. And it could be what a consumer guide is hey, these are 10 things you should be looking out for before you make the decision to buy, or here's 7 questions to ask before you buy this service, or 5 things you should know if you're going through this challenge, going through this problem. And what it says to your potential consumer is, hey, like, I'm looking out for you. These are the things you should know about the industry. These are the ways that people might try and take advantage of you. Or so it builds that trust, and you're giving them value here. Because again, the most important thing with guerrilla marketing strategies is that you are giving value to people, and that is what's going to attract them. It's like your bait almost. You're throwing out your fishing hook. You want to put bait on it. You don't want to just throw it out with an empty hook. You want to give them something that they can bite off, chew on, and that's going to bring them back to you. We talked about this a little bit in the podcast strategy, referral partners. And another way besides using the podcast strategy to create those referral partnerships is you could send unexpected packages to people that you want to become your referral partners. You could send them something that they're not used to getting. One of the things I've done actually for one of the businesses I'm working on is to go in person and it's for that mold remediation company, to go in person to some real estate brokerage offices. And I brought crumble cookies, and I show up on a Friday morning, and who doesn't love getting a box of crumble cookies? And then you leave some information with them, and you can do that for your referral partners, especially if they have an office or a professional location that you can go to. It's a way to get your foot in the door and start having that conversation with them. And then be thinking about who are those referral partners that are interacting with your ICA. Because again, word of mouth, organic marketing is the #1 way to bring people to you on a low budget. Even on a budget, it still is. So last thing we're going to talk about is where's the future of marketing going? And it's going to video. Video is going to become one of the #1 ways to market and to get yourself out there. And here's why. We learn the best through interaction. So if anyone's ever heard of Edgar Dale, he came up with this theory of learning retention. So people remember 10%, only 10% of what they read. So reading books in your class is not the most effective way to learn. People remember 20% of what they hear, 30% of what they see, 50% of what they hear and see, 70% of what they say and write, and 90% of what they do. So as our world moves more towards virtual reality and video, that's going to become super important for marketing, so that, because the best marketing is the marketing that people remember. So you want people to remember you and what you do. So how do you create an experience that engages them, that's involving them. That's not just something they read a campaign, an email campaign. That's why those aren't very effective, because most people just gloss over those. But how can you immerse them in your content? And video is a really great way to do this because they're interacting with you through seeing and hearing. And there was some research done on with Gen Z and millennials who said that they don't know how they'd get through life without video. Most of Gen Z and millennials are all on social media platforms, TikTok, Instagram. So video is super important. Humans learn best by being shown instead of you telling them. They want to see it. They want to see what it is, and they believe what they see, not what they hear. They believe what they see, not what they hear. So that's why video is becoming super important, especially as our technology advances. And video is the best way to clone yourself, because there's only so much of you to go around. You can only go to so many networking events and talk to so many people. But if you create videos of yourself speaking or talking about your business, those live on the internet 24/7 while you are sleeping. People can be watching those. And it's an easy way to scale your marketing too, is through video. So video is going to help you to create more leverage. And leverage is just the difference between what you put in and what you get out. And later on, that leverage will increase, because in the beginning, you'll have to put some effort into creating those videos, but over time, they're just going to work for you. They're almost like your employees at that point. You don't have to be out there actively marketing yourself. So that leads us to, with video, how to get people's attention through video. One of the ways is YouTube. And how we can use YouTube is to create, ideally, videos between 8 to 10 minutes. That is the sweet spot. We don't want to go too long, and we're finding that don't want to go too short either. So 8 to 10 minutes is the sweet spot on YouTube. And again, we don't have enough time to go really deep into all these strategies. There's so much more I could give you if you reach out, and I can help you more. But YouTube's a really great way to create some content that's educational, entertaining, and you want to hold people's attention the whole time. And then at the end, you can use it as a lead magnet where you make an offer to give them value. It could be a resource or a workbook or a consumer guide or something, giving them value at the end that they can give you their email and phone number for, and then they get the free lead magnet, and then you get their email and phone number, and you can add them to your email or text campaigns, and keep in contact with them. And again, YouTube, the videos that establishes you as an authority figure too. And same thing with social media. Some things you can do here are to create viral challenges with your ideal customer avatars, to get creative there. What could they be sharing? Because user-generated content is a really great way to get other people doing that marketing for you and talking about your brand and your business. And then what you can be doing is creating educational, funny, or entertaining content in the form of reels and short form video on platforms like Instagram and TikTok. And again, we don't have time to go in depth to all of these strategies, but if any of these caught your eye and you're thinking that you want to, and you want to go in depth with some of these and get more specific recommendations to your unique business, schedule some time on my calendar, and I'm happy to go deeper with you. And with that, that wraps up our masterclass, our marketing masterclass, fourth one already. We got one more to go after this, and I'm going to put the link in the chat for attendance and feedback. And once you've filled that out, you are free to go. Thank you, everyone. I'm happy to answer any questions if anyone wants to stay on.